Hi guys, I'm here in Trinity College with Claire Gleeson and Henry Glass, and we're here to talk a little bit about college disability services as part of our September coverage of education issues on AsIAM.ie. So to begin with, I just wanted to ask both of you guys to introduce yourselves and how you're relevant to disability in Trinity College.
Hi everyone, I'm Claire Gleeson and I'm one of the occupational therapists in the disability service here in Trinity College. I tend to meet with students when they first come to college and support them through orientation programs, and then continue to support them all the way through college through one-to-one sessions of occupational therapy.
I'm Henry Glass and I am a master's student in geology. I'm currently doing a research master's into building aggregate, but I came through the undergraduate general science entry in Trinity in 2010. So I've been working with the disability service, I guess, for about 6 years, and now I'm a student ambassador, so I kind of get to work with the disability service in a different way now, I guess.
And we're hearing this word disability service. Claire, would you be able to tell us a little bit about what the disability service is in Trinity and what it means for students who might have autism who are attending the college?
So the disability services, you'll find one in every college, whether that be in a university or in a higher education institution. And the disability services are a support for students to access supports and reasonable accommodations in their role of being a student within college. And those types of supports may be anything from supporting them academically or through their recreation or through leisure. And when you register with the disability service, you have access to these particular and different supports which are tailored and individualized to your specific needs as a student. For example, for a student with autism or autistic spectrum disorder, you would meet with the disability officer or a member of the disability services in order to identify maybe what your learning needs may be and supports that you think you would have in order to support you and your role within college.
And how do students register with the disability service?
In particular, there's various different ways of registering with the different disability services in all the institutions. My advice would be to check out the disability service websites where you'll find full information on how to register. Some particular ways may be registering online, while some may be dropping into the disability service with documents that you may have had that declare your diagnosis of autism or autistic spectrum disorder, and you would bring that in and you would follow the process in the different disability services. What would happen then, the likelihood would be that you would wait for a contact from the disability service to meet with a person on a one-to-one basis, where you would then identify and discuss the supports that you think you may need within college. They can be anything from exam accommodations, for example, extra time in exams where you may need to take a little break or walk around, to using a computer if your handwriting was poor, so that you have access to these additional types of supports in your exam settings. Other things might be special borrowing privileges, where you would be able to take books out of the library for additional periods of time, or for example having access to spaces in the libraries which may be quieter spaces, which have computers, which may be just specifically for students registered with the disability services, to anything from within Trinity. We have an occupational therapy service where students can meet with an occupational therapist on a one-to-one basis and discuss and talk about the transition into college and any difficulties or goals a person may have to support them in coming to college, because it's a new time and it's about managing that transition into college.
So actually that's something that I think is very relevant to a lot of students at the moment, and probably people watching this video. It's this period where we're starting college and trying something new for the first time. Henry, maybe you tell us a little bit about when you started accessing the disability service and what it means for you as a student in Trinity.
Well, I started accessing the disability service in about 2010, and I made contact before I started college, and then I maintained contacts during college, and I went for occupational therapy. As Claire alluded to, we kind of set goals, tasks things like that, and there was other kind of like little kind of study support tips and everything. And it was always extremely helpful to have the kind of borrowing privileges and the exam supports, particularly because me being myself, I'm awful at exams. So I think without them the exams would have been virtually impossible. So I think that the disability service really kind of, both academically and during exam time, was very helpful.
So it sounds like it's obviously been very positive for you, but a question that I might have for both of you is, we would come across a lot of students who are maybe very nervous about disclosing their disability to other people or disclosing it to a college authority. What would you say to students who are maybe that little bit nervous about accessing support? And I might put the question to you first, Claire, and then to you, Henry.
Okay.
I suppose one of the big things about accessing disability services are that they're very discreet. You know, you will inform people who you want to inform or disclose your disability to. So for example, if you do decide to meet with a member of the disability service, you can discuss those hesitations or concerns about disclosing, discuss who you want to disclose to. When you register with the disability service, you have that opportunity to have that conversation. Some questions the disability service may ask you are, would you like to inform your course? So for example, if you're studying an arts course, would you like to disclose to the department where you're studying that you're registered with the disability service? And you may do that through a document called the Learning Education Needs Summary, which discloses that you're registered with the disability service and the supports that you're entitled to. Again, not all students will want that sense of disclosure, and it's really up to you what level of disclosure you want to make. If you do disclose to the department, they're very discreet and confidential about that information. They'll never bring it up in a lecture, in front of a tutorial or anything like that. You can go and discuss it with the lecturers on a one-to-one basis if you feel you need more support from them. But again, your level of disclosure is really up to you. It's your personal decision. And it's about a matter of maybe having that conversation, because it's about informing yourselves of the information before maybe making a full decision that you have to go to a particular level. You know, it very much, in order to avail of supports within college, you need to initially disclose to the disability service. And that might be the first level of disclosure that you might have. And then maybe as the years go on, you may wish to disclose further. But again, that's a personal choice.
And Henry, what would you say to students who might be nervous about disclosing their disability to the disability service?
I personally, speaking only for myself, that I wouldn't be too timid about that, but then again, I'm not everyone else, and other people maybe a little bit more. But the thing is, if you want to look at it this way, that if you go and you disclose the disability service and you do the LENS report and you disclose to your department, as was said, it's not going to be given to, and information isn't given to anyone who doesn't need to know it. And then it can put the supports in place that you need to do well, because you can help your department help you, basically, because if your department doesn't know what supports you need, then it's harder for them to help you. But if they do understand, then there's that certain level of kind of understanding between you and the department, so that you can have your needs met and you can perform better as a student. So there, in which case your disability, I don't really use the term disability all that often, but your whatever you may have doesn't affect you as much as it would otherwise.
And just a question then, maybe again to put to both of you, is beyond the disability service, is there an awareness and an understanding of autism in college? Or is that something that students maybe need to talk to the disability service about, if they want other people to know, if they want other students to know, if they need supports, I suppose, beyond maybe just the academic challenges of college?
I guess like when it comes to students, like it's kind of, you don't need to tell anyone. Like most people, like I know, if I ever told anyone I had Asperger's, they'd be like, what? Like they'd never guess it.
Yeah.
But like I don't really tell people. Like if you tell people, like people kind of don't always get it.
Sure.
But then again, how can they if they don't have it themselves? It's kind of, it's, if you want to tell people and you like, you might need to explain it a little bit.
Sure.
But it's like you don't have to tell anyone. Like,
Sure. Good.
Yeah.
I think, as Henry said, it's really up to each person
Yes.
whether to disclose. College, it tends to be a very inclusive environment.
Yes.
So what I mean by that is that maybe in secondary school we all walked around in our uniforms when we were in secondary school, but when you come to college or a third level institution, you can wear what you want, you can do what you want with your hair, you can come to college in a pair of flip-flops in winter. It's really up to you about showing your sense of identity, and every individual will either decide that they wish to disclose their disability if they feel that it's necessary, or they may wish not to. I suppose as a college community, and I can only speak particularly from Trinity perspective, it's a very welcoming campus. It's very inclusive of all individuals. Within the disability service, there is awareness through the various different departments, through the various different systems, college systems around disability, because we are here to support everyone. It is about diversity. Trinity welcomes diversity from from all walks of life, whether that be on disability grounds, whether that be international students. And I suppose that's one of the nice parts about college, is that it welcomes that. And very much within the disability service, we also try to break down a stigma associated, maybe that is associated with disability. We have over 40 to 50 ambassadors who are registered with the disability service, and they go around in big blue hoodies. And I suppose our message is really trying to say the college is for everyone, and if you just decide to disclose, you're welcome to. If you decide not to, then that's your decision. And again, there are various different supports that are here to support an individual if they have autism. If they want to advocate on their own behalf, we can support them in doing that. Or if they decide that they want additional support from the disability service, we can support them in their disclosure to various different departments as well. We also, Henry and I were involved in a big kind of campaign a couple of years ago, a couple of students, and we developed an awareness website called the ASD Support Service website. And they were videos like this of 7 students talking about having autism and Asperger's syndrome at college, and talking about hints and tips for students, not just from coming into college, but going through master's level and into PhD level. And I think really that was creating an awareness about autism within college, and breaking down the fear that people may have in terms of coming to college and being concerned with having to disclose their disability of Asperger's syndrome or autism.
And people can't see it in the video, but we're sitting here in a beautiful, I think you call it a remedial room, is that right? Or a respite space. Yeah. That is kind of a lovely quiet area that students can book access to as well, which is really great for students with sensory processing difficulties. Just 2 final questions before we finish, one for Claire and one for both of you. One of the things that we get inquiries about a lot is around students who maybe want to have the support of their parents in advocating for themselves while they're in college. I know that can be a very difficult issue, particularly if the person's over the age of 18. What should students who maybe need that parental support in college do, or how should parents be interacting with college supports, if at all?
Yeah, I think that's a good question. And Henry, you might be able to answer somewhat of that too. As you mentioned there, Adam, that students, once they're over the age of 18, they are treated like an adult, and as such, we do not disclose any information to parents who require that information to be, that they feel that they want to hear. We understand that maybe through primary school and secondary school, parents have been there along the journey of the education journey, and then it's hard when the kind of strings are cut at the end and a person transitions into third level education. We really advocate for the fact that it's important to keep a line of communication between the parent and the student. Rather than the parent contacting maybe the disability services, is that we we try and encourage and foster, you know, a form of communication that you can have between the parents and students. So the student going home and having a conversation about what to expect from the days in college. You know, within the disability service here in Trinity, last week we just hosted a parent-student event where we invited all of the parents and guardians of all students who are registering with the disability service to hear about the supports that are actually on offer and to inform them about the communication pathways or channels that they should foster within the home as a person is coming into college. Additionally, I think the other aspect is parents to inform themselves about what to expect from college. The websites for all of the colleges have an abundance of information, from orientation to courses to the various different departments to the various different services within college, because there's not just the disability services within college, there's lots of other supports, from counselling to health centres to student learning and development centres. And by parents informing themselves about those supports, they can too support their student while at college. And so really it's about trying to create some sort of a mechanism for them to talk with one another, because that's what's going to probably work best. Students also say that they also want to take a step back from being with their parents, and they need to experience and try what college is about. And if they fail, they fail, and they'll get back up on the, you know, on the horse again and try again. But sometimes we learn from the experiences that we have, is often what some of the students say.
No, as you say yourself, like the parents kind of will be involved, and I think anyone can take advice from their parents at any age, I'd say. But like at the same time, there is, as Claire said, that no information is disclosed, but that you don't wish to be disclosed, and so no information will be given to parents about the student over the age of it once they're in the disability service. But I think it's good to foster that sense of independence, I guess, because like you have to take ownership of your own challenges, I guess, at the end of the day. So like, because there won't always be as much of a safety net, I guess, under you. So you have to learn to kind of be able to stand on your own 2 feet and be able to manage your own challenges yourself. And it's a good time to learn to do that whilst in college, because at least, since, as you were saying, there is still that contact and support with the family, but if things do go awry, but it does foster a sense of kind of independence and kind of teaches you, taught you kind of methods for getting things done and dealing with things when they got challenging. So yeah.
The very last question is, I'm going to ask each of you to give 3 tips you will give to students starting college this September or preparing to make that transition. So I don't know who wants to start first.
I'll let you start.
I suppose the first one is you know, be organised. Read the information on the various different websites, you know, whether they be the orientation website or your course website. Get your stuff ready to go, whether they be your laptop, whether it be an iPad, whether it be pen and paper, whatever way is going to work for you. You decide, get them ready well in advance of time. Because when you start college, it is a busy time and it is about being organised. Buy yourself a diary, or find a way that you are going to stay on top of the things you need to do, whether it's using the iPad calendar, whether it's using an app on your phone like My Study Life, or whether it's using the good old-fashioned diary with a pen and paper that you had from secondary school, like a homework journal. So be organised, that's the first tip. I suppose the second tip I would say is that college can be a daunting experience. Don't worry, everybody is in the same position. You learn a couple of little lines that you want to say about yourself when you go and meet somebody. Hi, this is who I am, this is what I like, because everybody's new. So don't forget that everyone's new. You're not the only person in this position starting at college. So try and meet some people as you go along and introduce yourself to people. And thirdly, I would say have fun and enjoy the experience of what college is like. It's not maybe what you've seen in the movies and everything is looking great. There's going to be lots of ups and downs, and that's part of learning. You're here to become more of an adult and become independent and enjoy that experience.
Yeah, I'd reiterate the point in the calendar and say that after when you start, you will get a pack from the Students' Union, and that will actually contain a little kind of calendar and little kind of to-do lists, it'll have the dates with the little boxes, and you can write what you need to do, which is very handy if that's how you like to organize yourself, coming from someone who's thoroughly disorganized. But also, it's important just to get yourself settled in. You're not going to crack how to study and do things perfectly in the first month or 2 months. There's going to be a bit of trial and error, and the transition isn't perfectly smooth. But the thing is, you kind of get involved with things you're interested in. When you come in first, you can, if you're doing I do geology. I got involved in the Geology Society. I got involved, and I got involved in other societies that I was interested in. And you make friends with people that are like-minded. So if you like computers, there's a computer society and things like that. And it's just kind of you being able to knowing how to balance social and work life, because getting assignments in, it isn't going to be easy, and there isn't going to be someone following you up and checking on your progress like you were in school. So you have to be kind of self-motivated. And I think once you get to master's stage, you have to be particularly self-motivated. But so long as you keep your work schedule organized and set yourself deadlines of what to do and when, and then get involved in social aspects that interest you, then you should be all right. I didn't find the kind of getting to know people. I went to boarding school, so getting to know people was I kind of found it a little bit easier because I kind of had to learn how to socialize, I guess. It was forced upon me to a certain degree. But even if you find socializing a little bit more difficult, it's still possible to kind of get to know people if you're talking about like-minded things and kind of like-minded spaces. So
cool.
Yeah.
Guys, thank you both so much. We're going to put up all the links below for all the various different college disability support services. But if people want to find out more specifically about the Trinity one, it's tcd.ie/disability. Thank you very much.